How are we going to get our kids through this holiday season with less sugar? Have you asked yourself this question recently? I know I have. Halloween is right around the corner. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Peternell. I'm the owner of Family Nutrition Services in Denver, Colorado, and I'm also the creator of an online 30-day program for living healthfully with Hashimoto's. You can check that out in the pinned comments down below. So welcome. If you know me and you've been watching my channel, or if you've been one of my clients, or you've seen me speak maybe at a local event here in Colorado, you know I love to talk about the perils of sugar, but also how to help our kids and how to support them when sugar is all around. Literally, we are bombarded, and our kids are faced with the decision around eating sugar or not, which if you're a kid isn't a very hard decision. They're faced with it every single day. With the holidays coming up, I wanted to give you guys some actionable tips, some things that you can do really starting now all the way through the new year. It's easy just to stick your head in the sand and be like, I can't deal with it, I can't control this, but maybe deep down, subconsciously or secretly, feel really worried about what's going on with our kids consuming so much sugar these days. First of all, let me state, I am a board-certified holistic nutrition therapist, and I have 2 children, ages 12 and 10, and they like sugar too, just like any other kid. But we do have some rules, if you will, in our household to help them make better choices for their bodies. I am not of the mindset that it's an all or nothing proposition. The kids that don't have any sugar in their lives ultimately end up being ones who will binge on not just sugar, but other foods as well when they get older. So here are some tips that you can start to use right away as we approach this crazy excessive sugar time during the holidays. All right, so the first thing is just sitting down and maybe assessing how much sugar your kids are consuming on a regular basis. You can use a food journal that's online, or you can just use a good old-fashioned pen and paper, and you can write down, based on looking at labels and knowing some of the ingredients in your kids' foods, how much sugar are they already consuming just on a regular day. Now, things to think about: sweetened yogurts, cereal, granola bars, packaged cookies and crackers, plus maybe even their gummy vitamins, sweetened drinks, added sugars to juices or smoothies. All of these things add up. So take stock by just figuring out at the outset, how much sugar are your kids already consuming? Are they already consuming? And then you can make a goal to start to maybe cut out some of the added sweeteners and focus on some more of the naturally sweet treats like fruit and dried fruit, unsweetened granola, homemade oatmeal that you can sweeten with just a little bit of maple syrup or date syrup or coconut sugar. You can also find a variety of healthful, naturally sweetened recipes to maybe make a substitute for some of the cookies or processed items that maybe your kids are used to consuming on a regular basis. One of the easiest things is just to make your own homemade granola bars. It doesn't take much time, and all you need is a food processor and a bunch of the raw ingredients. So after you have taken stock and you can sort of assess, okay, it looks like my kids are consuming X amount of grams of sugar per day, then you can set a goal for maybe either decreasing that number with the inclusion of some occasional sweets, or maybe a new number that you want to not go over as the holiday season approaches. This number may vary depending on the ages of your children. As I said, my kids are 10 and 12. So what we're looking for when we have goals around sugar consumption are whether or not those sugars are coming from natural sources or artificial sources, how much of them are fun foods versus just naturally sweetened foods that can be part of their healthy caloric and carbohydrate intake. And also the counterbalance is how active and how many, hours or minutes per day are they doing of their sports to help them utilize some of that sugar as fuel. So after you set a goal, I would definitely encourage you to sit down with your family and talk to them like, all right, you guys, the holidays are coming again. Sugar season is upon us. We know we've got Aunt Jane's, cookie exchange. We're going to be going to a bunch of parties. We've got Halloween candy still in the cabinets. And make a plan with the whole family around why you, as mom or dad or whoever is watching this video for the loved ones and the kids in your life, maybe just explain to them, gosh, there's a lot of things, that sugar is maybe interfering with. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's behavior, maybe it's attentiveness at school. Maybe they're just dealing with some fatigue from sugar crashes, or maybe your child is also facing some obesity and pre-diabetes or diabetes tendencies that you want to really nip in the bud. Explaining the goal and explaining your motivation behind some of the health reasons for getting sugar under control is not only the best and most honest approach, but you'll actually get more buy-in from your family members because they'll understand, like, you know what, mom or dad, they just have our best interests at heart. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's going to comply and be super pumped about this idea, but at least they'll understand that you're not just trying to be, the bad guy, or that you're not just nagging them about sugar. So set a goal and then talk to your loved ones about it. So as I said a few minutes ago, allow some indulgences. Allow the kids to have treats, because it's the ones that don't get any at all that really go hog wild and eat 50 pieces on Halloween night and end up barfing on the corner, or the kids at Christmas who finish all of the sweets in their holiday stocking, or the pie around the Thanksgiving table before the night is over, and they're with stomach aches in the bathroom or acting crazy, and they're a little bit out of control with their sugar consumption. It doesn't have to be this way. I think it's difficult to stick to goals when we make them for an entire sugar-laden season if we don't at least plan to have some of our top or favorite holiday treats on hand. So as part of that conversation with your family, you can say, like, all right, what are our favorite things? All right, definitely Aunt Jane's cookies, or definitely Grandma's pumpkin pie. We know we're going to be having some of these things, so let's just go ahead and plan on having them. But what kinds of things maybe don't fit that bill? How about just like asking for random candy at the grocery store? How about like when, someone's passing out cookies or something at school or a birthday party, and they're just like maybe your store-bought Chips Ahoy, and you're like, is that really worth it as far as the types of sugar that we want to have to align with our goals? In other words, let's talk about what is the risk reward. We all know that a lot of love, especially from our family members, comes in the form of food, right? So Aunt Jane's cookies or Grandma's pumpkin pie, getting to partake in that with them is really special. It brings up a lot of memories, not just for the kids, but probably for you as well. You remember that first bite of something delicious that someone you love made for you. Having a place for those treats to be indulged in mindfully is really important. We don't want to deprive ourselves. Now, naturally, I'm not talking about anything around food intolerances or health conditions in today's video. So if you know that you don't eat gluten or dairy or sugar or eggs or whatever because of a particular condition or food intolerance, this particular piece of the conversation may not be right for you. But at the same time, maybe you can work with your family member or even just on your own to recreate a recipe that's more healthful and maybe omit some of those foods as well. I'm a big fan of finding those substitutions so everybody can partake. So one thing that I tell a lot of my clients is just have like a treat budget, right? So just like a bank account, we want to be making deposits and we can take withdrawals of the types of foods that we want to have in our diet. And we don't have to make this really complicated, but let's just say that we're going to be making deposits all day long on fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe gluten-free whole grains, clean and lean proteins, healthy fats from plant-based sources. So our withdrawal, right, can be one treat a day, not just for the kids, but for us too. We all know that with extra Halloween candy lying around, it's just as easy for families, moms and dads, to find themselves in the pantry munching on those leftover peanut butter cups or whatever they find. But if you don't have your own experience of depravity during this time, and you're like, yeah, I can have one small treat per day because I'm making really good, healthy choices, then you're in luck. That will work. So the recommendation for adults is no more than basically 100 calories per day of sugar for women, or 150 calories per day of sugar for men. That's a lot of seemingly empty calories, but again, as part of a balanced diet, that might be roughly maybe 20% or 10% of your daily intake of total calories. So don't think of it necessarily in terms of grams, but think of it as a piece of the pie. If you've been following the 80-20 rule and you feel like you've really hit the mark 80% of the time, there is that room and flexibility for 20% to be the types of sweets that allow for careful treat days. Now, another thing I would suggest, in addition to having a treat budget, is also to have sugar-free days. Like in our family, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, most Thursdays, no, there's no dessert, there's no treats. Sorry, guys, you have soccer, you have gymnastics, we have to be on our best A game for school, we need to get a good night's sleep. Why do my kids think that those are dessert days? I have no idea. A random Tuesday isn't really necessarily cause for celebration or cause for indulgence. At least in my book, those are the days when we're really filling up our bank accounts, and those are no sugar days. So focus on your weekdays to be as conscientious as possible. Now, again, you can be maybe making some of those homemade treats with natural sweeteners for like muffins or breads, or maybe even some cookies if you want to have those around, and those could be sweetened, say, with just maple syrup or coconut sugar or honey. And it may fit the bill for those kids who are really asking for a lot of treats and sweets, but you feel good about the ingredients and you can control the quantity. When we choose the no sugar days, we have a great opportunity to really focus on our self-care, to focus on our nutrition, and we kind of reprogram our taste buds in those few days off each week, basically just saying like, nope, I'm not having any sweets. And the less we have on those days, the less we really want it. So when it comes along to the weekend maybe and we're having birthday cake with a friend, or sitting down to the ice cream sundae bar at grandma and grandpa's house, it's definitely more of a special occasion than it is an expectation or based on sugar addiction. So kids, just like adults, use sugar to cope with stress. I know we talk about this a lot in adult nutrition, that, desserts spelled backwards is stressed. Yeah, when we're stressed, I know even myself, I'm like, oh, I didn't really have a balanced lunch. I have a lot to do this afternoon. I'm just going to have a piece of dark chocolate. It's totally justified. But what I know I'm really doing is using sweets for energy, and I'm using it to cope with probably, a lot on my plate, to help fill in some of those feel-good hormones like the serotonin receptor sites, and to give me a little boost through what is potentially one of my more fatigued periods of the day, which is the afternoon. I've already been going for several hours, and I need to just make sure I can get through the afternoon. Kids do the same things a lot of time. When they're done with school and they're on their way to sports, they might be feeling overwhelmed from the things that they've been learning at school, the things that they the responsibilities they have, especially as they get older, and they may feel like, you know what, I really need some sugar to help me get through all of the stuff that I'm dealing with right now. Teach your kids how to have other really helpful coping mechanisms. Drinking water, maybe taking a walk around the block, getting some fresh air, maybe just resting, putting in the earbuds, listening to some music, even sometimes turning into maybe a television show, just getting a little bit of laughter and having some of these ways to cope versus just having the sugar to kind of get through. Just even talking about it, when we hear our kids saying, Mom, I really need whatever, I need a sucker, I need that candy bar, let's ask them why. What are you really feeling? What's going on in your body? Are you really hungry? Are you really stressed? Are you really thirsty? Are you really bored? Let's talk about why maybe kids are asking for that particular thing, and assess if maybe their need for sugar is actually is in disguise of something else. Okay, so the next thing is that, especially during the holidays, you know what, just skip the yucky stuff, right? I kind of mentioned this a minute ago, but I'm talking about sugar-laden drinks like sodas. Just forget it. If you know you're having Aunt Jane's pie, why in the world are we also having on top of that a Coke or a root beer or a Sprite or the giant Starbucks Frappuccino? Totally unnecessary, right? So these liquid sugar calories Basically, they're absorbed too quickly. They really disrupt blood sugar. They may, if they have added ingredients including caffeine, cause some unwanted side effects in kids. Jitteriness, lack of focus or attention, hyperactivity. We just kind of want to be like kicking some of these maybe lesser beneficial habits to the curb, so that again, when we are excited about having Aunt Jane's pie or cookies or whatever it is, you know what? The focus is just on that, and we can really enjoy the indulgence. We can really enjoy the treat. If kids are thirsty, they should be drinking big glasses of water, and also fresh pressed juices at home. A fresh pressed apple, pear, beet, ginger is one of my favorite combinations. We love to use our Huron juicer, and that can be a great pick-me-up in the afternoon. It can help to replenish needed electrolytes and vitamins and minerals, not to mention really help get kids through the afternoon. So consider these alternatives, or you might even look into some of the more natural sports drinks. We like the Eldorado Springs brand, and also the Nutson's Recharge brand are both really good as far as giving kids sometimes that sweetened electrolyte beverage that they need when they're really thirsty and they need to replenish for exercise and activities. But skip the soda. Okay, so the last tip that I'm going to give you is kind of like the, press this button in situations of emergency, and it's basically just to throw out the sweets altogether. If you've watched maybe my other video about especially Halloween candy, I'm a huge fan of just taking the extra stuff out of the house and just dumping it into the, trash can out back. My kids, they know I do this and they get mad at me, but you know what? In the long run, I think everybody's a little bit happier and healthier. Out of sight, out of mind, and it's certainly out of our bodies. This is my approach when the Halloween candy is still around at Christmas time, and when the Christmas stuff is still around at Valentine's, and the Valentine's is still around when the Easter Bunny comes. I'm just a believer that, short-term, experiential, in the moment treats in moderation are good as part of living a well-balanced life. When the treats are always available and there becomes a certain amount of territorialism, the kids are like, no, that's my candy bar, he can't have that. Or when do I get to have the blah, blah, blah sucker from the birthday party treat bag at school? And they know it's in there and they just want it all the time. Sometimes it just has to go. So in my family, we do the switch witch. If I haven't already told you about this, I'm just going to tell you again. On Halloween night, the kids get to divide their piles of candy into 3 piles. They have a pile that they get to keep, they have a pile that they get to donate, and a pile that they give to the switch witch. So the donate pile, usually we go to like the dentist office because they give prizes or money for turning in candy, and they'll oftentimes ship it off to troops or donate it to shelters. Which has some of its own problems. I'm not going to go there today. But we donate the candy to a good cause. The kids get kind of an intrinsic reward. And then the other one goes to the switch witch, which has to be the biggest of their 3 piles. And they set this pile of candy outside their door. And in exchange, the witch comes and leaves something else that they want. Maybe it's an Xbox gift card. Maybe it is, 10 songs on iTunes. Maybe it is a new set of gel markers. Maybe it is that new headband that they saw at Target and they just think it's so cute and everybody has it. So you know what? There's a way that kids can be rewarded for also making some of their own decisions. Now the piles that my kids get to keep on Halloween, they're good enough. They might get one little treat in their lunchbox for a week or 2, then Halloween's over. So I hope that these tips have been helpful for you getting through the holiday season with what is bound to be the inevitable sugar rush. Hang in there. You've got this, Mom and Dad. I'll be back with more videos soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.